What's more ingenious, pretending to be a tennis star's brother and telling the staff to put everything on her tab? Or would it be to scam some rich YouTuber star who absolutely have no time to check on your construction work? Let's get right into some of the most strangely ingenious scams. Number 4. Put it on the tab. Eugenie Bouchard is a Canadian tennis player who's still active on the WTA. She's played against tennis greats such as Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova. She played Williams in the Australian Open and became the first Canadian woman to play in a women's Wimbledon final. When Eugenie's not on the court, she's relaxing in her beautiful 5-star high-rise apartment building, One Hotel South Beach in Miami, Florida. 2019 was a tough year for Eugenie in tennis. She suffered 10 straight defeats and was especially disappointed when she failed to qualify for the Bronx Open after a big loss against Kaia Kanepi. But she dusted herself off and started immediately practicing for the Grand Slam US Open in New York. But in addition to many tournament upsets, Eugenie faced a new challenge off the tennis court, a scam worth tens of thousands of dollars. When Eugenie received a $42,000 bill for charges she didn't recognize, she knew something was up. One Hotel South Beach said that the charges came from her brother, but her brother wasn't even staying there. Meanwhile, Solomon Shlomo Azari was living in the lap of luxury at One Hotel South Beach, dining at the hotel's Habitat restaurant or buying cocktails at the rooftop bar. Whenever he bought drinks, food, or spa treatments, he told the hotel to put it on his sister, Eugenie's tab. Azari was impersonating Eugenie's brother, Will, despite looking nothing like him. In fact, Azari never even met the tennis player he was claiming to be the sister of. Azari kept up the lies for 2 months before Eugenie's team saw a huge red flag on her hotel bill. They disputed a $29,000 charge on July 30th, and the hotel opened an investigation. When police showed Bouchard a picture of the man claiming to be her brother, she confirmed that she didn't know the man and he had no permission to put any of those charges on her tab. Azari was arrested at One Hotel South Beach in August 2019. Miami police charged Azari with possession of scheme to defraud, identity fraud, and grand theft. Number 3. Handy butchering. Damian Stephen Butler is a former butcher from Sydney in an area called Riverstone in the city's northwest. His friend, who remains unnamed in the media for legal reasons, previously faced years of appalling neglect as the child of drug-addicted parents. He was desperate to earn a big profit and make a better life for himself. After Butler's butchering career didn't take off, and his friend was driven by unparalleled greed and ambition, the duo saw an opportunity in a completely different industry: fashion, more specifically, counterfeit handbags. The trio of Butler, his wife, and the unnamed man raked in hundreds of thousands of Australian dollars from importing fake designer bags. Butler's dream was always to be a butcher. A combination of increasing financial pressure and his failing business encouraged him to brainstorm a new way to get rich quick and fund his wedding and honeymoon. And with the approval and help of his new wife, Danielle, Butler succeeded, for a little while at least. Butler, driven by financial greed, started the scheme in 2018 by importing more than 2 tons of counterfeit handbags to Australia from China. He sold the bags at a profit on eBay, raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars. More than half of it went to Butler, while the other half is said to have gone to the unnamed accomplice, who's the alleged mastermind behind the scam. Butler and the accomplice were longtime friends of over a decade before deciding to go into illegal business together. The scheme earned a profit of more than $340,000. The unnamed accomplice took care of sourcing the bags in China and importing them into Australia, while Butler took care of the business in Australia, selling the products online. Investigators eventually detected the crime and charged the scammers with violating the Trademarks Act. At trial, Judge Chris Kregel had sympathy for the unnamed accomplice, who had a history of childhood trauma that drove his unharnessed greed. The judge pointed to the man as someone who had a strong moral compass and could have been a shining example of overcoming hardship the right way. But instead, he faced prison time. Butler and the man were charged with importing, selling goods, exposing goods for sale, and possessing goods for the purpose of trade or manufacture without permission of the registered owner. They received a maximum prison sentence of 2 years and 3 months. They'll be eligible for release after 14 months. With good behavior. Butler's wife, on the other hand, was slapped with an intensive correction order for 18 months for her role in the scheme. As prison guards whisked Butler away from the courtroom and into a government vehicle, he mouthed, "I love you," to his wife as she sobbed and said goodbye to her scamming husband. The trial also revealed that, in addition to the unnamed man, Butler and his wife, there was a fourth person involved in the crime. It was the counselor and lover of the unnamed man. She was sentenced to a 15-month intensive correction order in December for her role in the ploy. The judge also commented on her relationship with the man, saying that it was completely inappropriate for her, the counselor, to be involved romantically with her client and helping him to execute a crime worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, while she was supposed to be helping him find and maintain stability in his life. This courtroom drama didn't end well for this pair of star-crossed lovers. Number 2. YouTubers in crisis. The McBrooms aren't your average American family. There's Mom, Catherine, Dad, Austin, and their 3 young children, Alea, Elle, and Steele. But aside from being a picture-perfect family, they're also extremely famous on YouTube. They call themselves the Ace Family Online and boast nearly 19 million followers who religiously watch their videos about the ins and outs and silly dalliances of navigating life with young children in the U.S. today. But in October 2021, the McBrooms were in the news for a less than funny matter. Their $10 million Los Angeles mansion was in foreclosure. The couple made a fortune from their YouTube channel, which originally started as a way to record and share some of the fun they have as a family. As more and more people watched and subscribed, advertisers started paying the McBrooms the big bucks to appear before their videos on YouTube. They started landing media gigs and press deals. When their beloved home was broken into, the McBrooms decided that it was time for a change. This time, they could afford a lot more than a modest house. When Catherine discovered the home in LA, she immediately fell in love with the beautiful properties, views, and the home itself. It was actually 2 homes being built on neighboring properties, but the couple loved it so much that she asked the contractor in charge if he could turn the 2 homes into one huge mansion that spanned 2 acres on both properties. He said yes. That's where our story starts to get interesting. The couple loved the contractor's modern style on both homes. The McBrooms funneled millions of dollars into the construction required to combine the houses. They paid the contractor daily, out of pocket, to finish the property and make changes to the landscaping and any other necessary changes. The contractor and his wife made a new corporation under a random name to receive the money from the McBrooms, but the house still didn't have a certificate of occupancy, which is required in order to live in it. The contractor kept promising to get it as soon as possible. Every time they tried to get someone from the city to come and inspect the home, no one ever showed up. A few weeks after the family transferred millions to the contractor, the company was dissolved and they never heard from the contractor again. He ran off with their money, even though the home was far from finished. But the couple was already paying a $70,000 mortgage per month on the property, and the lease ended on their last home. Even though the house wasn't finished and didn't have heat, water, or electricity and couldn't pass inspection from so many builder mistakes, the McBrooms had nowhere else to go. The family lived in the house without any utilities for over 2 years. Catherine got pregnant with their youngest child, son Steele, 2 months after moving into the home. It was especially stressful for her because she couldn't even do laundry, cook, or shower in her $10 million house. There was no heat, and she was constantly shivering. Eventually, the house went into foreclosure. While many people were quick to blame the family for building a home they couldn't afford, it was much more complicated than that. The home went into foreclosure because it couldn't pass inspection, not because the McBrooms couldn't afford it. But still, Catherine looked on the bright side. She was just grateful to have a home in the first place with the people she loves most. She never complained, never got emotional, and didn't tell anyone about the situation except close friends and family. She didn't want anyone's pity or sympathy. But ultimately, when paying a $70,000 monthly mortgage, the conditions were unacceptable. When they started looking into the contractor's past, they realized that he wasn't even a licensed contractor in the first place. He was using someone else's license. The real contractors who owned the land came to see the progress of the home but never introduced themselves to the McBrooms. It turned out that the real contractors and the fake contractor devised a deal so he could use their license to work on the home for a well-off, famous family. In the end, though, the fake contractor never followed through on the deal and ran away with millions. If the couple wanted to salvage the home and live in it, they would have to funnel at least another $1 million into it in order to fix all of the other builders' mistakes. But at that point, it wasn't worth it to live in the money pit of a home that caused so much heartache and headache. The couple started renting a new home with their 3 children, but when they were looking for somewhere to go, many landlords didn't want to rent to them because of all of the rumors floating that the family couldn't pay their bills, when in reality, that was far from the truth. The owner of the home they're renting made them pay 6 months' rent up front for fear that they wouldn't be able to pay it later on. Rumors spread further when a TikToker discovered the family was selling some of their furniture online, but they were just selling it because they were downsizing to a home less than half the size. But Catherine's endless positivity and kindness even extended to the fake contractor who scammed her out of millions. She never pressed charges against him because his company already declared bankruptcy. It wasn't worth the time and energy to sue a man who was already in financial and legal ruin. Catherine had some words of advice for new homeowners. She recommended making sure you have the right team looking out for you, especially a house manager whose job it is to review all of the paperwork and make sure that it's legitimate. She warned against blindly trusting people because they invite you to dinner and are kind to your family. Don't take someone's word for it if they say they have a license. At the end of the day, Catherine called it a lesson learned. An expensive lesson. Number 1. Recruiting the finest. Michael New seems to be a typical resident of Slidell, Louisiana, a place that's about 30 minutes outside of New Orleans. But Michael isn't your typical Southern man. He's also connected to a ring of Nigerian fraudsters scamming Americans online. Michael teamed up with some Nigerian scammers to con vulnerable people across the U.S. out of their money. He signed up to be the middleman in the scams, which operated by phone and online. When he got the money from his victims, he wired it to his co-conspirators in Nigeria. In one version of the scam, victims received an email saying that the government wants to share some of the millions of dollars being illegally transferred out of Nigeria. Victims had to provide their bank account number and identifying information in order to receive the money. They also had to pay some of their own money to the scammers with the promise that they would be reimbursed. The email's author promised to pay back the money as soon as the illegal funds left Nigeria. But of course, the victims were never reimbursed. The money they were promised doesn't even exist. The Nigerian scam has been around since before the internet. In one version of the scam, a letter sent to people's homes said that they were the beneficiaries of a will and needed the victim's bank information in order to transfer the inheritance. During the oil crisis of the 1980s, some Nigerian scammers claimed to offer bargain oil prices in exchange for some cash. Many Americans fell victim to it. Once police caught wind of the scam, they opened an 18-month investigation against him. Most of the leads led to suspects outside of the United States. Michael was one of the only ones in the U.S. But still, the police had no idea the number of people he swindled. He was charged with 269 counts of wire fraud and money laundering. He was held at the St. Tammany Parish Jail in Covington, Louisiana, until sentencing. The FBI recommends sending any letters or emails you receive from Nigeria directly to the Secret Service so they can track down the scammers. Click to watch one of these next videos and let us know in the comments section what's your strangest story with someone who attempted to scam you.